Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the series of Truly In and Out, Know the Social Sector. This week, we have Paromita with us from SEWA Bharat. She is overseeing research and social enterprises, research, land tenure rights among capacity building with the organizations. Also, she is the one of the most essential part of the central team who works with all the verticals across SEWA Bharat. So welcome to the series, Paromita.
Thank you so much, Sanjana. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you want to introduce yourself in the organization?
Yes, absolutely. SEWA Bharat works in 8 states very closely, and through our other SEWA institutions, we work in 18 states across India. We work essentially to support the rights of informal women economy workers. So we're talking about the women who are street vendors, who are domestic workers, who are construction workers. These are women who've been working, who work very hard, but who aren't recognized as workers often, or who aren't part of the formal sector. So they don't have rights, they don't have insurance, they don't have health. So our work is to support this woman in every aspect of her life, right? So when it comes to her rights and her livelihood and her resilience, but also making sure she has access to skills and access to a healthier quality of life and a more enjoyable quality of life. So we take a very holistic approach to working with informal women workers across the country. And I look after research and data in this organization across all the various aspects of it.
Thank you. SEWA Bharat is an organization who particularly focuses on women, right? Building capacity of women.
Yes, we focus entirely on women and women at the base of the pyramid, so poor women.
Can you tell about few different programs you run as a part of your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of programs. I'm just going to select a couple of them. So we have a very, very big, vibrant team of young people working around entrepreneurship to support women becoming entrepreneurs, either on their own or grouping together women, like 5 women to 1,000 women, different groups, coming together to start an enterprise and run their own business together. So we have a very thriving enterprise support system that we're working on. We have a lot of work around that we are doing around skills building, and we're taking a very broad modern take on skills building when it comes to like building the skills of women. So we have computer skills, we have tailoring, but we also have photography, we also have data collection, we have women running homestays, we have women running driving e-rickshaws. So that's our skills building work. We do a lot of work around leadership building, because a large part of the SEWA movement is that the women that we work with, they should be able to sustain this movement even beyond us, right? So a lot of our focus is on leadership development for these women. So that's a very core part of our work. We do a lot of work around social security and health, ensuring that women get access to social security and health, whatever is their right by the government. Women just don't know about it. So increasing their access, awareness, and utilization of this. Beyond this, we have a lot of our support services. We do research, we do communications, we work with private stakeholders as well as government partnerships to try and promote the rights and the needs of the women at the base of the pyramid, was such an important part of our economy. We have a whole range of verticals. Please feel free to check the website, sewabharat.org, sewabharat.com, which will have a list of all of these verticals for you.
Thank you. Can you also talk about the organization culture?
SEWA Bharat is a pretty old organization. SEWA Bharat started in 1984. However, we are part of the SEWA movement, which started in 1972. And SEWA Bharat's role is to take the movement to newer states. So it's an old organization, but so it has a lot of history, it has a lot of culture. We know our roots are very strongly tied in a social movement. However, what's fun about this place to work in right now is there's a lot of young energy and there's a lot of young talent that's come into the organization. And the organization has been very accepting and very encouraging of this new talent coming in and shaping new structures. One of the problems with an older organization sometimes is that they have a hard time transitioning, but we've successfully transitioned. There was a lot of freedom and space transition through the COVID pandemic to build models of work that work for different people from different kinds of life, the kind of support we need. Because as women, a lot of us are women in the organization. We have care work burdens, and the organization is very considerate of that, understanding that you have family at home, you have needs. We're also trying to move towards a world that's a little bit more understanding of climate justice and a little bit more understanding of the need for diversity and inclusion. So there's a lot of space for young talent to come up with the things that will make this movement stronger and then make the organization stronger, and then to enact those changes. So it's a back and forth because it's a very large organization. There are 350 of us across 8 states. So trying to make things move and work, you have to work with a variety of different stakeholders. but that scope and that potential, if you want to change something, if you want to be creative, that scope is really given to you to be like, start something new and make something better. So that's a fun part of the culture. Beyond that, it's a very diverse group of people when it comes to the socioeconomic classes and the regions we come from. But it's a very, because of the movement that underpins the organization, there's a lot of solidarity that we really have to build on. Because we're all about solidarity. We support a social movement, the SEWA movement. So there's a lot of solidarity. There's a lot of like people coming together to be like, this is what our core cause is and what our core concern is. So those are the good things about that organization.
Thank you so much, Paromita. Recently, SEWA Bharat have also launched a fellowship. Would you like to talk about it?
Absolutely. So the SEWA Fellowship is an opportunity for us to bring in people who might not have a lot of professional experience, but have a lot of enthusiasm and desire to work in this space. It is a rural immersion program between 1 year, 2 years, depending on the tenure that you choose when entering the fellowship. It's what happens in this fellowship is you will be placed with an enterprise in a rural area, in a SEWA community. When we say an enterprise, it is a group of women who have come together from the grassroots to form an enterprise and run it. We are trying to help these enterprises reach profitability and long-term sustainability. The role of the fellow will be to support the women in running this enterprise, as well as connect them to the larger SEWA ecosystem and the larger ecosystem just generally when it comes to social security and health and the skills that they need and just the general ecosystem in which they have to exist in as workers, as women, as business owners, as well as continue as serve as a liaison between them and our office out of Delhi, where the Women's Enterprise Support System is based. So they'll serve as a liaison. So they'll have a lot of interface with both the team that's running entrepreneurship work across India, as well as a really immersive experience in a SEWA community with women who are running an enterprise, which is a very rare experience. This fellowship might be one of the only ones in India that is entirely dedicated to gender. It has a very clear gender focus. You're working with women and you're working with women's entrepreneurship. And through that, you're going to get a lens into all the different aspects of a woman's life when she lives in a rural area and is marginalized because of poverty and social structures and economic structures. We're looking for young talent. We're looking for people who are enthusiastic and who want to get that experience. So please apply for this.
And young means just college pass out students or like the freshers?
Yes, we're not looking for those with a lot of professional experience. We will give you that experience. This is an opportunity to get your hands dirty and really understand their work as it is from the ground up. So you don't need professional experience. You've got a graduate degree, you finished your college, you finished your master's, no work experience, come on and apply. You have to start somewhere. Start with us.
And what's the stipend you provide to these fellows?
So for this fellowship, it's in the range of 30 to 35 a month.
Thank you so much, because that's where you like most of the people who have young crowd who have not done education in social domain. Fellowship is something that actually gives them a grassroots knowledge. You spoke about gender specifically because organization also focuses on women, empowering women, providing them livelihood opportunity. Also, your team, most of the team members comprises of women, right? So
yes.
How does the diversity and inclusion looks like in SEWA Bharat?
So SEWA as an organization, our leadership is women. It's both an artifact of the fact that our leadership has been running in this movement for 50 years. And when it started, men were very interested in women's rights. So we do have a lot of women in our leadership. Additionally, it's also a symbolic thing, right? Because we realize that if we are trying to tell a poor woman that you can be anything, you can be a leader, you can run everything, and then to have a man telling her that, it causes a little bit of like, from a symbolic perspective, why can't you find a woman who's heading? However, that doesn't mean we do look for talent, right? So we have a lot of our verticals, a lot of our programs and departments are headed by men because they were the best in their job. The goal is that even if you're a man or a woman or non-binary, the goal is that you have to be sensitive to the concerns of women at the grassroots. That's the primary thing that we really are looking for, right? So regardless of your gender identification, it's important that the people you are working with, they take priority. So that's a very important lens for us. However, that being said, given the nature of this work, we are a very women, a lot of our leadership is women, a lot of programs are being led by women, our teams are women run. When it comes to the diversity, we really try our best. We've been doing it a lot more recently, is to try and create a climate and an environment where women from different communities and from different backgrounds can all come together and work. As I said, we work for women from the grassroots, right? And these women are very diverse. We're talking about the levels of diversity is so much broader, right? the grassroots than it is at the kind of privileged class that I come from. So to try and make that representative, right? Because if you are from that community, you understand a little bit better, you understand what the needs and struggles are, and your work is just that much stronger. However, I bring with me different skills, right? So it's the idea of like bringing together different viewpoints to be in conversation with each other and to collaboratively create something. So your background does matter, but again, what does matter is your desire to work collaboratively with someone, to put your ego leave your ego at the door and come in and say, it matters that we work together to support the women that we work for. That's the most important part, right? So diversity, inclusion, all of that is necessary to work best for the women we work for.
Thank you. I am in love with what SEWA Bharat does. As a woman,
I am too. That's why I'm still here.
So, like, it's an amazing opportunities for women out there to apply for the fellowships or to apply or to work with SEWA Bharat and empower other women. What is one thing? What is something that a young professional will get?
I think so. I was a young professional when I started. I'm not very young anymore because I've loved this place so much. Part of being a young professional here was the one, as I've already mentioned, the freedom, right? To be like, to create something that will support the movement, that will support the organization. The second thing for me is the amount of learning, right? I think to be able to stay someplace long term, there is a need to constantly be learning. And I've gotten to this point where I learned so much. I've already learned so much from being in this movement. And yet not a day goes by where I'm not learning something else. I'm not learning something about my work, about the movement, about the ecosystem, about how to run a team, about how to work within an organization and to build an organization. There's always something to learn in this movement and in this space. And I think that's something that's been really exciting for me, and it keeps me here. There are opportunities to grow. There are opportunities, again, it is a self-starter kind of an organization, right? So I've taken that initiative. I was given a little bit of space to grow. I've proved my enthusiasm and my investment in this movement, and that's allowed me to really expand my team and to try an idea, and it's worked. And so my scope of work has increased. So there's a lot of that space. If you have ideas and you're willing to work with other people and be collaborative, the organization and the movement gives you space to like expand and try things out. And also there's a lot of space for failure. Which isn't something that maybe people talk about a lot, right? But as young professionals, you want to be able to try something, and if it doesn't work, sometimes lots of times things don't work, right? So you want to be able to try something, and when it doesn't work, to be like, okay, it didn't work now, let's try again, right? And that kind of a support system that the other young women, other young professionals you're working with really support you with, right? So you have leadership who will give you the space, and a network of other young professionals who are going to be like, okay, you tried something, didn't work, let's figure out how to try something else new, and then this time it will work. So I think that combination of it's an environment where failure is encouraged, because from failure you learn, and learning is just constant, and that's why I'm still here. And I hope other people will come with that attitude and mindset.
Sure, thank you. Would you like to also share the starting salary of a fresher or an individual who joins SEWA Bharat?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, a lot of our work it's across 8 states and it's across different communities, right? So starting salaries will depend on the kind of educational expertise and background you bring in. So we, for instance, will hire women who have a 5th grade pass from the informal economy, and we will bring them on as organizers, as mobilizers, as grassroots researchers, as grassroots communication associates. They start off with the minimum wage in their state for semi-skilled labor, right? However, if you're talking about those like joining one of our urban locations at a head office kind of a level, or at a regional office, depending again, like whether it's a regional office in say Ranchi, Jharkhand, or Delhi, like commensurate with states and the cost of living, we range anywhere between the starting salary in a Ranchi will range between 25 and 30,000. In a city like Delhi, it'll range between like 40 and 45,000 as a starting salary for freshers.
Thank you. So one last thing, if someone wants to join SEWA Bharat, what are the 3 skills SEWA Bharat looks on that individual?
Okay, so skills across all positions that we're looking for. One is comfort in the field, right? So when we say field, is you have to be willing to be immersed with the communities we work with. You have to be willing to travel. Travel is a big part of it, because if you aren't there with the communities, you're not understanding the work that really needs to be done. So a lot of it is your comfort with the field. Along with that comes language skills, but not really, because you pick up language skills. My vernacular language skills were really very bad when I joined SEWA Bharat, but it's got better. So experience and comfort with the field. The second one is to be a self-starter, right? Because this movement, there's there's so many things happening in so many different directions. There has to be a certain level of you being able to be like, okay, someone doesn't have time to give me to tell me what to do. I'll come up with my own plan and get sign off and push it forward and get the work done. So there has to be a certain amount of just like your own initiative and motivation, because lots of things happening. The third one is flexibility, right? Because there are times in this movement, so for instance, COVID, right? A lot of us during the COVID pandemic, we dropped our core work, right? I'm a researcher. I dropped my core work and I was helping figure out how to fundraise for ration kits, right? At the end of the day, the movement and the woman at the center of our movement is the most important thing. So yes, you might have come in with a certain expertise, but nothing supersedes the needs of that woman, right? So being willing to be like, it's okay, let me figure it out. I won't be the leader in this thing. I'll put away my skill set, all hands on deck kind of an attitude is really important for us. Just that core mission that drives us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was really nice hosting you.
Thank you so much for having us. It's such a great opportunity.
To the youngsters or freshers who are watching us live, SEWA Bharat have just launched a fellowship to actually women on the grassroots level. So do apply for it. A good entry point to understand development sector, realize what you want to do in future.
Thank you so much.